anybody in Congress know what the Environmental Protection Agency is doing? It costs us all a lot of money. People don't seem to realize it. I won't say which company I work for, but we had a chemical spill. The girl from the state inspected this little spill. Or not a spill, this wasn't his story, I got my story mixed up. We sold a restricted product to a company that can legally buy it. They wanted to use on a commercial lawn. They used it, mistakenly used on a residential lawn. The state said we would normally warn them, but since we're short of money, we'll find them. This is the way our, the EPA is federal, I understand that, but this is our state. But does Congress have a hand in what the EPA is really doing in this country?
Some do, but I think some of us feel almost as helpless as you do. Until we have the ability to have oversight hearings, and I think the Republicans this time will do it. I think they were smacked pretty hard in the last 2 elections because they got away from the principles of limited government and spent too much and regulated too much and allowed government to grow too much. Of course, remember, the Democrats have controlled both houses of government for the last 4 years, but we still had a president who was a Republican for that period of time. We could have, should have put more pressure on. But I think now we have the opportunity to hold those hearings. If Dave Camp becomes chairman of Ways and Means, to pull the EPA in and say, hey, you justify why you're doing this to our people. You justify why you want to regulate puddles in farm fields. Why, even though it's unnavigable, you feel you have to regulate it and regulate agriculture into out of existence opportunity. Why you feel that we have to move so quickly on things when in fact we don't chew the air anymore. I grew up in the south side of Chicago where you literally chewed the air at times. Like my Buick, when I came out of the steel mills after work at night, my two-tone 57 Buick Special, that was a sweet car. It was a perfect car because in the wintertime the heater didn't work, in the summer it really did. But the heater didn't work in the winter, so it had this pink blanket that my girlfriend and I could put, anyway. But the top turned pink by the time I got out to the car after washing it, coming in the morning, from all the ore dust and everything that was on it. You don't see that anymore. Of course, you don't see the steel mills there anymore either. They're gone.
I assume the windmill business, and I'm sure a lot of it's really hurt all the windmills and what around the country. How much of that is the taxpayers pay? How much subsidization for these windmills? If they had to operate on their own, I know a lot of companies involved in this. We're not going to get involved because
I don't think any of them would operate on their own yet.
That's what I want.
The question is there a time period for certain incentives to get them up and running? Well, I'm not going to debate that issue. I think maybe there is a time for certain new technology, but there has to be a date certain to say, you've got to prove it by now.
But like this lady says, with the economy in the tank, nobody can find a job. Why are we doing this?
See, there's priorities. There's priorities. And common sense people say, it's nice, it'd be great to have this, but right now, putting bike paths in versus repairing potholes even. We repair potholes. And government doesn't think that way. And that's where the change has to take place. And I know I've got to leave here. We've got to go up to Michigan State and speak to a group of students up there yet tonight. But what I was going to say is, what was I going to say?
Common sense.
Priorities. Common sense priorities, yeah. At this point in time, when people are deciding whether to feed their family or put gas in their car to get to work, that they still have the job. Or the business person deciding whether somehow to eke out the ability to keep that one final employee on before closing the doors. And I know the businesses like that. I've met the people like that. I've met business owners who are saying, I'm going to keep these 2 people on until I shut the doors. I owe it to them. But when that type of stuff is happening, government ought to be saying, what used to be doable and nice, we don't do now. What we used to do and have some educational programs that sound great, maybe produce some good things. got to ratchet back a bit for the time being. We have to get our house in order, because how can we go to the table and negotiate good agreements with China when we're a debtor to them? How can we sound strong and tough in the world when they know that we are so indebted that right now our military may be hurting? Truthfully, because of lack of funding capabilities. And America has to understand that. And while I think it can turn around relatively quickly, we're not talking months, we're talking years for a complete turnaround, but I tell you what, if there's some certainty that goes back in by government making positive decisions, common sense, productive decisions, there are a lot of people who say, I'll take a chance on it. That's because I'm American.